Welcome to GST Accounting course using Sage UBS 2015. To begin, in Lesson 1, we learn about the setup and settings. Throughout this lesson, you will understand how to enable GST features and functionalities within the application and how to maintain key data elements for GST reporting. In the Accounting Application module, go to the Country setting, set the country as Malaysia, then click on the Advanced setting. After that, select and check the options of with purchase tax, with sales tax, and with GST. At the Inventory and Billing Application module, go to the Country setting, set the country as Malaysia as well. Now, let's look into the general setup in the Accounting Application module. If your company is a GST registered company, enter the major industry code and select with Malaysia GST option. After you have selected the with Malaysia GST option, the GST setting tab will be enabled. Enter your GST registration number, GST taxable period, GST effective date, and GST filing date. This information will be printed on your GST 03 form. The GST effective date is very important. It will tell the system when to enable the GST features. Let's say you set the GST effective date as 1st of April 2015. On the 1st of April 2015, when you first log into the system, a message will be shown to inform you that the GST features is now enabled in the system. Lastly, make sure you map the appropriate GL account to each setting. In the general setup of Inventory and Billing Application module, go to the company profile. To make sure you fill in your company name, company address, company registration number, and GST registration number. All the information will be printed on your invoice header, therefore ensure that it is correct and accurate. Make sure you select the with Malaysia GST option. Malaysia GST features will be enabled immediately after you save this setting. Next, go to the Transaction tab. You will notice that the options with per item tax, with per item discount are checked and it is not allowed to change. The reason is, in the GST audit file, the taxable amount shown for each item line must be after the discount amount, and the tax amount for each item line must be shown individually. There are 6 important master data that you need to take note. First, the GL accounts. For all GL accounts related to GST, please set special account equal to PT for input tax related and ST for output tax related. The 7 GL accounts here are customs recommended GL accounts. GST input tax for acquisition, GST output tax for supply, GST control account to show net tax effect payable or claimable, GST liability for GST bad debt handling on customer, GST claimable for GST bad debt handling on supplier, GST suspense for GST on importation of goods, and GST expense for no claimable input tax. Secondly, let us look at the GST tax codes. All customs recommended tax codes are provided in the system, thus you do not need to create it by yourself. For certain tax code, such as BL, which is the block input tax, you are encouraged to map it to GST expenses GL account so that it will be reflected correctly in your profit and loss report. Third, the customer maintenance at the master data. It is important to ensure all information related to GST are filled into the customer maintenance as it is needed for GST audit file purpose. At number 4, we need to maintain the master data for the suppliers. It is important to ensure all information related to GST are filled into the supplier maintenance, as it is also needed for GST audit file purpose. Please take note that RMCD approval code is meant for supplier whom you will issue invoice on behalf of the supplier. Let's take an example. The Kelapa Sawit plantation farmers, due to situation where they may not know the market price of the Kelapa Sawit, so the cooking oil production company, who is their customer, will issue invoices on behalf of the farmers. Fifth in the setup is the item group setup. You can set the default purchase tax code and default sales tax code for each item group. We encourage you to categorize your items by type of supply and link them to the respective item group, so that in the future, if there is any change of the GST tax code, you just need to change it in the item group instead of amending it in each item. During transaction entry, if an item is linked to an item group, the respective default GST tax code will be shown automatically. As for the sixth setup, we need to ensure the following is maintained at the item. You can also map the default purchase tax code and supplier tax code to each item, so that during transaction entry, the GST tax code will be shown automatically. Now, at this point, we have completed lesson 1. In this lesson, you have learned the steps to enable GST features and fill up GST registration details, maintain key data elements in master data for GST reporting.